Hello, everybody. Michael Falato from Full Throttle Leaders. Today we have Carol Mahoney. She's the Global Head of Enablement at TTC. How you doing, Carol?
Good, doing really well. Excited
Yeah.
to be here, Michael. Thank you.
So we talked a little bit before about your journey. I wanted to kind of recap what we talked about tell me about how you got to TTC and what you guys do there, but also why you took that job.
Yeah, 100%. I love this. I love this question because I feel like my career path has been anything but linear. I started as a professional actress, so that was my whole life up until like age 21. And I didn't finish college. I actually moved to New York City to try to pursue acting professionally.
From
And
where?
yeah,
Where'd you move from where?
I moved from upstate New York, where I was attending college, to New York City, so not
Okay.
not the biggest
No.
jump. Born and raised in Boston, so it's
Yeah.
all an East Coast thing, right? So yeah, I mean, I moved to New York City, and I really thought I was going to give professional acting a try. And I think what I found is that I was broke and I needed a job, and I was like not doing well, not
Yeah.
having any money ever. So my older brother, who's in finance, recommended to me that I get a salaried position. And I was like, salary? What's a salary? And he was like, it's where they give you money no matter what every couple weeks. And I was like, dope. That sounds awesome. I'd like a salary job. Because I was like working hourly jobs as like a bartender and a nanny. So anyway, I kind of stumbled into B2B sales as a BDR. I was actually the first batch of BDRs at the company that I landed at. And so it was a super new function. So we were all kind of learning together. I was in a class of, I think, four total. And so that was an incredible experience. I credit that company and that opportunity to all of my career success and evolution because I think anyone who wants to be an entrepreneur, a business owner, a CEO should start as a BDR because you need to learn how to sell. You need to learn the basic principles and basic tenets of how to pitch and
Mhm.
how to understand your product, but how to translate your product into a use case and a value prop for a customer. So I had an incredible 2 years there. I was promoted a couple times. I was a top performer on the BDR side, and I really just started to excel in that career. And then I started working in BDR leadership, which was so awesome. But what I found as I worked in BDR leadership was that the parts of BDR leadership I liked most was training. I liked putting together like the onboarding guides. I liked training the new hires and all that stuff. So I actually broke into enablement from there. And I've had some like steps backwards and forwards since then, but enablement has really been my bread and butter since like 2022. So yeah, I'm really thrilled to be at TTC now as the global head of enablement. It's an incredible company, an incredible opportunity. We are a corporate travel company. We have about over 40 brands under us, ranging from luxury travel to, budget travel and more, young people friendly travel, right? So we have a ton of different offerings. And it's an incredible company. It's awesome to be able to be doing work that you're genuinely passionate about.
And what's maybe one or two things in the last 6 to 12 months you're like, wow, that was not a good idea. I'm not going to do that again. Or hey, everybody, I learned something really cool, tech, solution, tactic, strategy that I
Yeah.
want to kind of let my audience know.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love this question. I think the first piece of the question is I learned the hard way that you have to really start by enabling your leaders, your frontline leaders. If you have any new sales process, any new sales workflow, training, framework, you can't start with the sellers. You have to get that buy-in from the leaders. But not only do you want their buy-in, you have to actually train them on this new framework, process, etc. Because if they're not adopting it, their team isn't going to adopt it consistently. And so
Hmm.
I think that's one of the things that I learned the hard way over the last year. Because one of the first things I did at TTC was develop a bespoke sales framework for our contact center agents. And we have hundreds of agents, right? So it was a behemoth of a task. But something that I think I could have done a better job at, and something I think I will do a better job at moving forward, is enabling the frontline leaders first and foremost.
Mm.
So I think that would be the kind of like lesson learned. And then in terms of the tool that I'm using that I want to shout from the rooftops, if you are an enablement leader and you are not using Lovable or Claude, you got to. You literally have to. I'm telling you, these are tools that have changed my life. Claude is like having a super smart assistant who also creates decks for you and can kind of get in your brain and think like you. And then Lovable is just an incredible vibe coding tool that you can use to develop apps, websites, all of that good stuff. So I actually used Claude and Lovable to develop a certification application for my sellers here at TTC. And that's been a really, really cool thing for them to get certified on the sales framework. So I would say those two tools I want to shout from the rooftops.
Yeah, I have friends that are using Claude, like and building all these different tools and then like basically selling it. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's so
yeah.
cool.
But yeah, because I actually have Claude, but I haven't really messed with it too much. And I got a and beautiful. I wanted to see what it would do for my website. I think they changed it around. It was pretty good.
Yeah, yeah,
Especially if you want to, like, I'm changing my company from Full Throttle Falato Leaders to GTM Full Throttle. So I don't want to be a lead gen company only. I want
right.
to have here's the architecture, right, of how you do this. Because a lot of people will just take AI and pitch slap people. That's still noise.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So tell us about a little bit about what company taught you the most, right? As far as you don't have to name names, but when you mentioned earlier that you learned a lot when you were younger, what was that big life lesson that was taught to you, or that you like aha moment?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think for me, it was learning that you cannot rely on your talent alone.
Mm,
A lot of people who are stepping into the BDR space,
mm,
they'll see early success and they'll be super jazzed about it, but you have to actually rely on consistency with what you're doing and not just your raw talent. I think I hit a wall at a certain point as a BDR because I wasn't being consistent with my outputs, and therefore my performance started to look pretty inconsistent for a couple months there. And I think I had to learn the lesson that you actually can't rely on your talent, you can't rely on motivation, you have to rely on discipline. You have to develop a discipline of, I'm going to show up every day, first one in, last one out. I'm gonna, do these same outputs every day, no matter if I'm smashing it and booking a ton of meetings or if I'm having a crap day and not booking anything. I'm gonna keep doing the same outputs no matter what. So that was a huge life lesson for me.
So what do you think of the BDR role as of today compared to like 5 years ago?
Yeah, I think 5 years ago, before we had more streamlined, tools for outputs, it was a lot more manual,
Mm,
right? Like, 5 years ago, it was a lot more manual. Nowadays, it's a lot more automated. I think the role of the BDR today is more consultative than it was 5 years ago. I think it needs to be more consultative. I also think the role of the BDR today needs to be more community oriented. And I think BDRs need to be more present on the channels where their buyers are at, the social channels. So I think it requires kind of a totally different skill set today
mm.
than it did 5 years ago. We have so many tools for automation nowadays, which are a blessing and a curse, of course, because you don't want to necessarily rely on spray and pray, but at the same time, that tactic does work for some companies when their targeting is on point. So I think that BDR, the landscape of being a BDR has changed completely.
And what type of messages do you see that actually resonate when you're doing outreach? Like when I do it, I'll see the podcasts and the roundtables, making them feel special is really made my outreach better
Yeah.
because I'm giving versus asking. But I want to know about because you're obviously in a different industry as far as what you do with travel. Like what's working, what's not.
Yeah, I think that something that I see that doesn't work is personalization, not relevance. So if someone reaches out to me and they're like, "Hey, Carol, I see that you went to Ithaca College. Anyway, here's my company, here's what we do." It's like, yeah, sure, you led with something personal, but that's not relevant. Like, yes, I went to Ithaca College. I didn't graduate. I didn't have a particularly good time there. That's not really something that's going to connect anything for me.
Yeah.
Um, but rather, if someone were to reach out to me and say, "Hey, Carol, saw your post the other day about how you used Claude and Lovable to develop a certification app.
Mm.
Curious how that went for your sellers. That's a super creative idea." That's a more relevant intro
Yeah.
that I would be open to responding to.
Yeah.
So I think
You
relevance.
used AI to read my LinkedIn. Thanks. Great job.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, sure, I went to Ithaca College. Like, what of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think relevance over personalization beats out every time.
Or I've been following your career. Congrats. Okay.
I'm like, cool, thanks. Like, I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah. I always like I try to look at their post and like you said and comment on that as well. But pitch slapping, you can't just go from one message to, hey, here's what I do.
Yeah.
The whole idea
Yeah.
is just to I call it business dating. Like think about this as you're not gonna ask someone on a cruise when you first meet them.
Yeah, exactly. And that's such a good point too. I always say, like, if you're on a first date with someone, you don't just sit down and be like, "Okay, so what's your timeline for getting married?
Yeah.
When would you want to like get engaged?" It's like, no, you're gonna freak the heck out of someone. Like, don't just like take it slow, build the relationship.
Yeah. So what's a good way to get a hold of you, and what type of people do you want to get a hold for you to? What type of people do you want them to get a hold of you? I can't.
Yeah. I'm super open to connecting with other enablement leaders and operations leaders. I think I'm trying to build my network out with more of my peers. So I think that would be awesome. I'm super available on LinkedIn. I'm always on there. So you can always reach out to me there. You can also go to my website, which is in my LinkedIn. I
Mhm.
have like a form that you can fill out if you want to get in touch, book me for an event, anything like that. So that's, I think, the best way to get in touch. Yeah.
How about groups? Are you a part of SDR leaders with those Dave Watt? What's his name? David Watt.
Wilkinson, yeah.
Yeah.
Not anymore. I used to be part of the Sam Nelson's SDR leader group, but
Mm.
right now I am, gosh, go to mark or the Sales Enablement Collective. I'm part of that
Oh yeah.
group.
Yeah.
So I'm actually spoke at an event with them recently, and I'm doing another one on June 1st, which I'm super excited about.
Yeah.
So yeah, big fan of that group.
Well, I appreciate you being on, Carol, and I'll send you the link for this so we can post it together. And
Yeah,
I hope your career just keeps on going like a hockey stick.
thanks. I appreciate it. Me too.